The 2026 offseason is shaping up to be one of the most complicated and unusual in recent Cowboys memory. Dallas is expected to spend heavily to retain key internal stars, leaving limited room to chase big-name external free agents. With the recent additions of George Pickens and Kenny Clark, the team's financial flexibility is already stretched thin. Because of this, the Cowboys are expected to avoid the typical splash signings that dominate off-seasons across the league. Yet the front office knows they cannot ignore the glaring weaknesses on the defensive side of the ball. The Cowboys ended the 2025 season with one of the worst secondaries in the NFL, a liability that hurt them repeatedly. Fans and analysts agree that addressing cornerback depth must be one of the team's top priorities. While Dallas rarely reaches for expensive external help, this offseason might demand an exception. The market is filled with intriguing defensive backs, but only a few truly fit the Cowboys' scheme and budget. Among them, one name rises above the rest: Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Jamel Dean. Dean has emerged as an underrated gem after a breakout season in Tampa Bay. His performance stood out not only statistically, but in terms of consistency and physical dominance. As the Cowboys evaluate every possible avenue to improve, his name keeps surfacing in internal discussions. His blend of size, speed, and instinct makes him an immediate upgrade for a struggling Dallas defense. And as fate would have it, circumstances may be aligning perfectly for him to fall right into their lap. Meanwhile, league-wide attention on Dean continues to grow. Pro Football Focus recently listed him among 15 underrated free agents expected to cash in. That projection alone places him squarely on the radar of multiple teams, including several NFC contenders. But for Dallas, signing Dean would not only strengthen their roster, it would weaken a conference rival. The stakes are elevated as the Cowboys weigh their strategic options. As Dallas prepares for pivotal roster decisions, Dean's availability couldn't come at a better time. The Cowboys know they must improve defensively to reclaim NFC East relevance. Their offense, led by Prescott, is capable, but the secondary has held them back. This offseason may be their best chance to change that narrative. And Jamel Dean could be the missing piece they've been waiting for. Why Jamel Dean fits the Cowboys' needs. Dean's rise in Tampa Bay has been impossible to ignore. After years of showcasing raw talent, he finally blended physical tools with refined technique in 2025. Under Todd Bowles' guidance, he became a complete corner capable of shutting down top receivers. His breakout season returned credibility to a Buccaneers defense that had been trending downward. Now, he enters free agency as one of the most attractive defensive targets available. For Dallas, the reasons to pursue him are obvious. The Cowboys lacked a reliable second cornerback to complement their existing defensive structure. Opposing offenses routinely targeted Dallas' weaker defensive backs, exposing coverage gaps. Dean's presence would immediately stabilize the secondary and shift coverage responsibilities. He offers durability, versatility, and a proven track record of thriving under pressure. The Cowboys' defensive struggles have created urgency within the organization. Despite a strong pass rush and improved defensive line play, they were routinely burned by explosive plays. Adding Dean would allow Dallas to reshape its defensive identity without overhauling the entire system. His ability to play man and zone coverage with equal efficiency aligns perfectly with their needs. He could serve as the cornerstone of a much-improved defensive backfield. Dean's underrated status also plays in Dallas' favor. While he is expected to receive significant offers, he is still less expensive than premium CB options. This gives the Cowboys a realistic shot at signing him without dismantling the existing roster. Compared to the cost of drafting and developing a rookie corner in a thin class, Dean is a safer investment. He bridges the gap between affordability and high-level production. What makes him even more appealing is his age and career trajectory. Dean is entering his athletic prime, with his best seasons likely still ahead. He has remained healthy, competitive, and consistent, traits Dallas has lacked in recent years. Signing him would strengthen not only the defense, but also the long-term outlook of the franchise. For the Cowboys, this is the rare free agent who checks every single box. Draft limitations push Dallas toward free agency. The upcoming 2026 NFL draft class is considered extremely weak at defensive back. Scouts and analysts have repeatedly emphasized the lack of elite corner prospects. This is one of the main reasons Dallas cannot solely rely on the draft to fix its secondary issues. Taking a cornerback too early risks wasting a valuable pick on a developmental player not ready for NFL speed. The Cowboys cannot afford that gamble in a season with playoff expectations. If the Cowboys skip free agency, they may be forced into overdrafting. History has shown that reaching for need rarely produces franchise-changing players. Dallas has learned from past mistakes and appears unwilling to repeat them. Free agency offers proven production, especially in the case of Jamel Dean. He represents a solution rather than a long-term project. The Cowboys front office is well aware of these draft limitations. This is why internal conversations have shifted toward strategic free agent acquisitions. Jerry Jones has always been opportunistic when the right talent becomes available. He may be reluctant to break the bank recklessly, but he won't ignore an obvious upgrade. Dean fits perfectly into the must-have category Dallas usually reserves for elite players. Draft analysts warn that ignoring the secondary this offseason would be a costly mistake. With Prescott entering the final years of his prime, the Cowboys must maximize every opportunity. A strong defense is the only way to compete with NFC powerhouses like Philadelphia and San Francisco. Signing Dean would elevate the Cowboys from competitive to dangerous. It's the type of move that shifts the balance of power in a division. Ultimately, the draft cannot solve what free agency can fix instantly. The Cowboys know this, and Dean's timing couldn't be better. He offers immediate value, long-term reliability, and scheme versatility. With few quality alternatives available, he becomes even more essential. This is why the Cowboys must seriously consider making a run at him. Financial flexibility has always been a tricky subject in Dallas. With major contracts due for Pickens, Clark, and other internal stars, money is tight. The Cowboys must carefully navigate the cap to avoid long-term consequences. However, Jerry Jones has a long history of cap gymnastics when necessary. When he identifies a must-sign player, he finds a way. Jones has hinted publicly that maintaining all 3 defensive tackles is a priority. But that promise may be tested if the Cowboys pursue Dean aggressively. To sign him, restructuring contracts and shifting cap numbers will be unavoidable. Dallas has done this before with great success, manipulating bonuses and guarantees. The question is whether Jones believes Dean is worth the effort. Despite the challenge, the Cowboys have several financial tools available. Void years, restructures, and incentive-based deals are all viable options. Dallas could also front-load or back-load Dean's contract to minimize early cap impact. The franchise has mastered these techniques over the past decade. This is why financial obstacles may not be as restrictive as some believe. Jones has repeatedly shown that he prioritizes elite talent over rigid bookkeeping. If he views Dean as a transformational defensive piece, the deal becomes far more likely. The Cowboys' window to contend with Prescott remains limited. Bold decisions must be made if Dallas wants to stay relevant in the NFC playoff race. Securing Dean would send a clear message that the team is all in. Cap flexibility doesn't guarantee a signing, but it creates opportunity. Dallas must decide whether Dean is the type of player worth bending their financial structure for. Given the state of their secondary, the argument is strong. For a franchise in need of defensive stability, this may be the perfect moment. And Jones has never shied away from moments that define a season. Jamel Dean's breakout and why it matters. Dean's 2025 season was nothing short of impressive. He excelled in coverage, maintained discipline in man assignments, and minimized explosive plays. His physicality at the line of scrimmage improved dramatically, matching elite NFL standards. Under Todd Bowles, Dean refined his instincts and awareness in zone schemes. This combination made him one of the most complete corners in the league. What stands out statistically is his consistency. Dean rarely allowed separation and forced quarterbacks to throw elsewhere. He contributed multiple turnovers and pass breakups in crucial moments. These performances helped resurrect a Buccaneers defense that had lost its identity. His presence alone elevated the unit's overall confidence. For the Cowboys, adding a player of Dean's caliber would immediately raise expectations. He would give Dallas the shutdown corner they have lacked since Trayvon Diggs' peak seasons. His arrival would allow the defensive coordinator to disguise coverages more creatively. It would also reduce pressure on safeties who've struggled to compensate for weak outside coverage. The ripple effect across the defensive structure would be noticeable instantly. Dean's toughness and durability further strengthen his case. He rarely misses time and consistently plays through minor injuries. This reliability is something Dallas desperately needs, given recent inconsistencies in player health. Dean's ability to anchor one side of the field would simplify Dallas' defensive assignments. It would also give young defenders room to grow without overwhelming responsibility. His breakout is not an anomaly. It's the culmination of steady development. Teams value corners who peak at the right moment, and Dean fits that mold perfectly. This is why he is projected to command strong interest as free agency approaches. Dallas cannot afford to let an opportunity like this slip away. Dean's trajectory suggests he will only get better. The Cowboys' defensive identity without Micah Parsons. One of the underlying storylines shaping Dallas decisions is the absence of Micah Parsons. Trading their defensive superstar reshaped the roster and created new priorities. Dallas sought greater flexibility and financial stability, but it came at a cost. Without Parsons' disruptive presence, the secondary's weaknesses became even more exposed. This offseason will define how the Cowboys plan to rebuild their defensive identity. The Cowboys have since invested heavily in the defensive line. The trio of run-stuffers added in 2025 brought stability in the trenches. Kenny Clark's arrival strengthened the interior and supported a more balanced scheme. But defensive backs remain the weak link in an otherwise improving unit. This is why signing a top-tier corner like Dean feels more urgent than ever. Dallas understands that a strong defensive line is only effective if coverage holds. Quarterbacks were able to exploit mismatches in the secondary far too easily last season. Dean's arrival would give Dallas the ability to tighten gaps and reduce explosive plays. It would also allow the pass rush more time to affect plays, compensating for Parsons' absence. This synergy is essential for a complete defensive turnaround. The dual challenge for Dallas is rebuilding while remaining competitive. Prescott is still capable of leading deep playoff runs, but only with adequate defensive support. The Cowboys cannot rely solely on offensive firepower to win high-pressure games. A capable secondary is a prerequisite for postseason success in today's NFL. Dean provides the competitive edge the Cowboys desperately need. Parsons' departure opened financial and structural flexibility. Now Dallas must use that flexibility wisely to reshape the defense. Signing Dean would be a step toward creating a new identity, one built on balance and stability. The front office has an opportunity to set a new standard moving forward. This offseason could mark the beginning of a fresh era in Dallas. The NFC East remains one of the most competitive divisions in football. Teams like Philadelphia and Washington have invested heavily in their passing attacks. For the Cowboys to contend, they must match that intensity with defensive improvements. Dean's arrival would immediately upgrade Dallas' ability to counter elite receivers. It would also elevate their status as a legitimate playoff threat. In the broader NFC picture, the impact is just as significant. The conference is loaded with offensive talent and rising young quarterbacks. Dallas needs a corner capable of shadowing WR1S and disrupting rhythm. Dean has proven he can do exactly that, even against top-tier competition. His presence would alter game plans across the conference. Strategically, signing Dean steals a key weapon from Tampa Bay. Weakening an NFC rival while strengthening your own roster is a double advantage. This type of move has historically shifted conference power dynamics. Dallas has the chance to make such a statement this offseason. Competition for Dean will be fierce, but Dallas is positioned to make a compelling offer. The Cowboys' roster construction hinges on maintaining balance. A strong offense paired with a vulnerable defense will never win championships. Adding Dean gives Dallas the stability required to close games, limit mistakes, and dictate pace. It brings confidence to a secondary that has lacked identity for years. And confidence is often the difference between playoff berths and early exits. If Dallas acts decisively, they can outmaneuver teams with more cap space. Dean's desire to join a competitive, high-profile franchise could work in their favor. The Cowboys remain one of the league's most attractive destinations for players seeking exposure and legacy. Dean could thrive under that spotlight and elevate Dallas' defensive reputation. The opportunity is there. It's up to the Cowboys to seize it. A free agent already falling into Dallas' lap. The timing of Dean's breakout aligns perfectly with Dallas' needs. Few free agents offer such a seamless fit in terms of talent, age, and scheme compatibility. While others chase splashier free agents, Dean quietly becomes one of the smartest targets available. His underrated status may even reduce his price compared to top-tier CBs. This creates a rare opportunity for Dallas to secure high value at a manageable cost. The Cowboys' offseason strategy revolves around targeted, efficient investments. Dean represents exactly that kind of player, not flashy, but extremely effective. His arrival would transform the secondary immediately, bringing discipline and confidence. Dallas cannot rely on the draft alone to fix its defensive flaws. Dean solves problems that no rookie in this class can address. The domino effect of signing him would reshape Dallas' season outlook. Pickens returning, Clark anchoring the interior, and an upgraded secondary create true balance. Prescott would finally have the defensive support needed to push deep into the playoffs. The Cowboys would re-enter the NFC conversation as a serious contender. This is the kind of move that alters the trajectory of a franchise. Jerry Jones knows how rare these opportunities are. Despite his insistence on keeping the core defensive tackles, flexibility exists. History shows Jones will break from script if he identifies a player he must have. Dean fits that category as well as any defender in this offseason class. The only question is whether Dallas will act before another contender strikes. With the offseason approaching, all signs point to a potential union between Dean and Dallas. The Cowboys have the need, the scheme, and the motivation to make this happen. Dean's breakout, timing, and underrated value make him a perfect fit. He might truly be a free agent falling straight into Dallas' lap. And if the Cowboys capitalize, the NFC East may never look the same again.